Hey my loves, so today is an impromptu video. I was not supposed to be uploading this, but I am mad. I'm mad, and I feel like a couple of you guys need a stern talking to, so come here. So this video was inspired by one of my mutuals, right? They uploaded a video talking about how they had to take step one multiple times and that they passed after getting proper accommodations and all of that. And look at the foolery. Look at the comments on that video. Now, I would like to think that anybody subscribed to my channel, that y'all know that I don't play like that. Y'all know good and well to never say things like this. Absolutely not. We do not do that over this way. We do not do negativity. We do not talk about impossibilities, because one thing that we are not is God. And a lot of people have a bad habit of thinking that in medicine. They think that they know so much, that they're oh so much better, because medicine has always been rooted and grounded in elitism. And it pisses me off so much.
Oh my God, this makes me so...
Because let's stop pretending that academics are a meritocracy. No, they are not. They have never been. Academics has always been rooted and supported in the well-resourced, in the affluent, especially medicine, especially academia. This was literally a field in which only the 1% to 2% could operate. So what are we talking about? Why are we acting like those foundations and those roots aren't still in existence to this day? Most of the people in my class are children of doctors. They're children of lawyers. They're children of rich, well-resourced persons. So how the hell do I know that they're not going home getting private tutoring? One of my former friends, her mom is a plastic surgeon and her dad is an ENT. Be so freaking for real right now. So she literally used to tell me how her parents were helping her with her Anki and her flashcards, and again, how to break down certain things. Do you think that I have those types of privileges with my black parents from Baltimore, the ghettos of West Baltimore at that? No, I don't. And so it's just insane to me that somehow, some way, we're believing that people who do really well academically are somehow just working harder than everybody else. It's also a slap in the face to God, because everybody is graced with something. Everybody is graced in an area. Everybody has a gift, because favor is not fair. And there are some people who are academically gifted. They could literally study for 2 hours and then come out with a 95. That does not mean that you are dumber than that person. That just means that they are graced in that particular area. I'll give y'all a practical example. There is no way that y'all are gonna sit here and tell me that there is nobody else who practice as hard as, if not harder than, LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. And how many LeBron Jameses and Kobe Bryants do we have? Okay then, okay? There are just talents, right? There are just things that are meant for you that, yes, you still have to do the work to achieve. I'm not going to sit here and say that academically gifted students don't still have to study or whatever. I'm not saying that they're not trying at all, but to try and act as if everybody is on the same level of effort, honestly, is just dumb, because it's not true. The same way that I'm going to upload my fitness routine, and one of the things that I'm talking about in the video is that you should not compare yourself to me ever in life when it comes to working out, because I've worked out for 14 years. Like what? I started doing sports at 7 and I was freakishly good at every single one that I did, to the point that I got a full ride scholarship for an event that I learned how to do in my final year of high school. Like, I was not always a triple jumper. I used to be a sprinter. I learned how to triple jump last minute because sprinting kept getting me injured, and I ended up with a full ride and breaking several records, and even became athlete of the week for my entire conference.
Period. So yeah.
That is a gift. That's an ability. You would be foolish to try to compare yourself to me and think that, oh, I'm going to work out just as much as Janae does and be just like her. Like, no, that's a fallacy. And I think that humans often have this innate kind of desire to compare themselves and try to explain the impossible and the miraculous. And we need to cut that out, because that's not our realm, right? That's not our jurisdiction. That's not our job. And so it really grinds my gears when we sit here and we talk about, oh, doctors who fail, students who fail aren't good doctors, they're bad, they shouldn't be able to do this and that. It's like, who are you to be saying these things? Like, what? Even if you are a program director, like, I'm telling you right now, one reason that I am now reconsidering doing a surgical specialty, because I didn't tell y'all this, but yes, I am reconsidering doing orthopedics. I'm considering doing something completely different, is because I don't have the tolerance to deal with people who can't see beyond their own ego. I cannot do that, because again, that's human nature, to want to explain things and want to categorize things and put people into certain spots and in certain positions, and that just doesn't tell the full story. And it pisses me off, because what you really want to say is that you would not accept a student, you would not accept a doctor who has failed something because you don't believe in them. That's what it is. You don't believe in them. You don't believe in their ability. And again, I'm going to ask you, who the hell are you to be saying those types of things? Because the only person that you have to prove worthy to is yourself. Somebody who has failed something has had to go through intense trials and tribulations mentally to be able to reinstill that trust and confidence. Trust me, I would know. And it just baffles me how, when we talk about resilience, when we talk about humility, when we talk about all of these traits that we're claiming we want doctors to have, the only way that they can truly build these things is by failing. Why the hell would I want to be seen by the doctor who has been perfect all their life, who has been flawless all their life, and the first time that they fail something is over my body or over one of my loved ones' bodies? Now they're sitting there hyperventilating because they've never had to deal with their own internal struggle. It's not even about, oh, I'm smart enough to know what to do next. It's really the emotions, the things that you feel inside when things ain't going right, and how to navigate and maneuver through that. You know, what is that phrase? The higher they climb, the harder they fall, or something along those lines, right? This is biblical. This is in media. This is everywhere. Icarus in the sun, right? Having too much hubris sends you crashing into the ocean. There are no stories in which having an inflated sense of self does you any good, because then when reality comes to smack you in the face, you're suffocating because you're like, oh my God, what is this? I would much rather my failures happen now than in the clinic for the first time, right? If I'm gonna fail something for the very, very first time and be like, oh my God, and have to deal with myself and my own self-doubt, and again, rebuilding my self-worth and my self-confidence, I would much rather do that over an exam. Y'all are very unserious and trying to make it seem like doctors are gonna be flawless all of their life, and that only the creme de la creme deserve to be in certain specialties, and then have the nerve to turn around and be like, why don't we have more empathetic doctors? Because you got rid of them. You got rid of them. That doctor who has been perfect and flawless all their life, baby, they can't relate to you when you have, you know, a diabetic crisis, because they're feeling like, go work out, fatso. Oh, you were texting and driving and got into a car accident? Idiot. That can never be me, because you have positioned them as God. You have put them here. That is something that also burns me up when it's patients who say things like this, because now you're crying and wondering why the doctor can't relate to you. And that is because you have quite literally given them all of the power. A patient-provider relationship is supposed to be a teamwork. I need you to be my co-pilot, not a backseat passenger. You shouldn't just be trusting me to do every single medical decision for you. Hell no. Ask me questions, question me, doubt me, get upset with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, do the things that you need to do to ensure that I'm on top of my job. You know what I mean? A person who's never been questioned, who has never been doubted, who has never doubted themselves, that's again where that ego comes in, and now they're combative. Now they're not nice to you anymore. Now they don't know how to handle you. Why would you want that? And if y'all don't believe me, let me give y'all some practical examples. We'll start with my most recent one. I was observing the surgeon, right? And they were about to bring a patient back to the OR, and then anesthesia stopped them and said, hey, look, this patient needs special blood. They have like different antibodies that are attacking their blood cells, and we gotta wait. The blood bank has to send this blood. The surgeon goes, well, why do we need to do that? I've done this operation 1,000,000 times. I promise I'm not gonna spill that much blood. Just let me go ahead and go, because I've been here all day. I beg your pardon. This surgeon was willing to put the patient at risk because they were just that confident in their skills. And if looks could kill, that anesthesiologist would have went to jail for homicide. The iciest glare of, if you ask me something like that again, I'm gonna report you to the board. As they should. As they should. And I just, again, it frightens me truly, truly, truly that y'all would promote this type of hubris by constantly putting these people on pedestals because they did well in school. Who gives a damn when you have poor bedside manner? Another example of what the heck did I just observe that I actually ended up having to report to my school. I was in there with this oncologist doing a biopsy with a patient who didn't speak English, and she felt very comfortable in my presence, right? So I'm there doing her biopsy. She's holding my hand, I'm talking to her. We go back to the analysis room or whatever you would call it so we could see the scans of the biopsy. And I asked a question. I was like, how come this patient didn't receive, I forget what medication it was, but I literally just learned it in class. So I said, well, why didn't they receive this? Because I heard that that's supposed to constrict some of the blood vessels so that way it's not as painful, right? They're not hurting as much, not bleeding as much. And the oncologist goes, well, that's that new age stuff. We let y'all worry about that, the younger generation. It was gonna hurt her regardless. So I just did what needed to be done, and she was just a little sensitive. Again, that's y'all. That's on y'all. When y'all promote that type of hubris, when y'all promote that type of ego, it is dangerous every single time. It is never a good thing. You need to have a balance of just reality coming to smack you in the face and kick your butt. And unfortunately, the ones who do so excellent in school, that's not always through hard work, like I said. So they don't have resilience. They don't have grit. They just have talent and ego. That's all. And that does not make them better physicians than somebody who has failed something. It just doesn't. And I will never, ever want to be colleagues with people who believe that. I never, ever want to be selected by a program director who believes that, which again led me to kind of decide to not really want to do surgical specialties because the worst attitudes I've ever really come across are from surgeons. It's just disappointing because you would think that by now, as we were heading into 2025, that we would have a better social understanding and social concepts of some of these things, and we just don't. And I don't know, man. I just feel like we all got to do better at being very intolerant, because something else that I've always recognized and seen is that people will say these things in the whispers, in the back rooms, behind the scenes of non-profile picture accounts, right? Nah, say that shit out loud. Say the hard part out loud. Tell students who failed that you don't think that they can cut it. Tell students who have failed something that you think that you are better than them and that you don't believe in them. Say the hard part out loud. Say it with your chest. Say what you really mean. And I feel like people don't, because they know that that is such a ridiculous statement that they can't really back up. Because do y'all actually follow these people, right? People who fail step one. Do you actually track their career progress and see where they go? Because for all you know, these are some of your program directors. These are some of your heads of hospitals, heads of departments. These are the people that you're getting on your hands and knees, begging for a little bit of attention from at conferences. These are people that you look up to, but because you're too busy judging and stigmatizing, they will never share that part of the story, which is honestly heartbreaking. Honestly and truly, I can't imagine having overcome something so difficult in my life, because y'all be thinking that people be failing stuff just for fun, that people be failing stuff just because they can't hack it. There's a number of reasons why people just don't get through a certain season of their life the way that they planned, because that's how life works. So I can't imagine, right, as somebody who has failed due to just not being mentally okay, then I go on to become this like really, really dope doctor, and I have my amazing platform, and people are like, oh my God, I want to be just like you. And I'm sitting here terrified to tell you that I didn't pass my step one exam. I'm scared to tell you the whole part of me because I feel like you won't appreciate my story. I feel like you won't appreciate the process. You're only here for the success. You're only here to applaud me once I get the medals and the accolades. You wasn't with me shooting in the gym. That's very lonely. That's very, very lonely. So I wanted to make this video to encourage anybody who is in this position that you don't have to quit your dreams. You don't have to give up just because external people have something to say, because again, the person that you have to get back on your side, the person that you have to seek the approval of the most and prove the most to is yourself. That is the hardest battle, that mental toughness that you have to build after something like a failure, whatever the failure is. That is the most important thing, is getting through that. Why should you give up on your dreams, give up on yourself because of somebody else who couldn't even walk 2 inches in your shoes? Like, that don't make sense. Don't do that to yourself. And I'm going to leave off this video with some positive facts from the AAMC as far as the 2024 resident match report. Apologies, this isn't the match report, this is the 2024 report on residents. Table B2, first attempt pass rates on USMLE and COMLEX examinations by specialty. Anesthesiology, 15 people did not pass step 1 and got accepted into anesthesiology. Okay. General surgery. 4 people did not pass step 1. 1 person did not pass step 2. Neurosurgery. 2 people did not pass step 2. OBGYN. 10 people did not pass step 1. 1 person did not pass step 2. Physical medicine and rehabilitation, which is the specialty that I am now interested in. 8 people failed step 1, 1 person failed step 2. Plastic surgery integrated, 3 people failed step 1. Radiation oncology, 5 people did not pass step 1, 1 person did not pass step 2. Now, I'm already knowing that somebody's gonna be like, oh, out of how many, that's such few numbers, is it 0? Is it 0? And again, you don't know whether or not the program directors, the people on the residency panel, you don't know their backgrounds. You don't know whether or not these are the failures that you're talking so poorly about. You just don't know. You don't know how these people go on to succeed and exceed, because the hardest part is over, which is the mental battle. They won. They graduated, they matched into the specialty that they wanted. So I'm trying to figure out how the hell are y'all hating from outside of the club? How are y'all hating from outside of the club? Then it baffles me that when it comes to students who are still in the process, that y'all are crapping on them, telling them that they can't do it when there's literally evidence that yes, they can. So I just want to know, what does that do for you? What does that do for you mentally and emotionally to crap on students who don't have the easiest process, who don't necessarily have the most ideal results, and they're still trying anyway? That sounds like insecurity projection, ego projection to me. You would give up. You would quit. You would think that it's impossible. You would be giving up on yourself. You would be doing yourself a disservice. Don't bring that shitty attitude to people who are still trying. And shame on you. Anybody who is doing that is within the field of medicine, shame on you. Because if you can't extend grace to your colleagues, if you don't know how to grasp the bigger picture, and that there is a life that goes on outside of medicine that sometimes interferes with people's process and seasons of life, if you can't understand that for your colleagues, I shudder and doubt that you can extend that grace to your patients. And you should be ashamed of yourself. I will never, ever, ever sit here and shrink and cower in fear over talking about, oh, this thing happened in my medical career. I'm not going to be ashamed of myself. I'm not going to be ashamed of that growth process that was clearly necessary for me to grow through. I'm going to thank God that I got to learn those lessons now rather than later when it really counted. I'm not about to sit here and stress myself out over no exam that I looked at for 8 hours on a screen. Okay, thank you God. Thank you God I got to fall apart now, so that way the fall is not as hard when I will go through it later, because you're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up all of your life. I'm glad that I'm building those tools now, and you should be glad and proud of your colleagues, of your peers, of your future physicians who are getting through it, going through it, and growing through it. Shame on you if that's not how you feel. Shame on you if instead you're just spewing nothing but negativity, because that does nothing. It does nothing. Honestly, it makes you a loser. And I said what I said. That's pretty much the end of this impromptu video. I just had to get this off my chest because, ooh, I was mad. Ooh, I was mad. And if you're familiar with my platform, y'all know that I don't play like that. All right? Mwah! See you next video.